So now it sounds like the Cleveland Browns are going to all but imprison Shedeur Sanders in the football sense of a very talented rookie quarterback who obviously needs reps.
There was one kind of knucklehead play call where it was 4th and 1 and we went empty. I'm like, you got a rookie quarterback. Kevin. You got a rookie quarterback who hasn't been getting reps, and you're going to put him in empty and 4th and 1 where he's like, if there's ever a time where you got to be able to pre-snap, recognize pressure, slide protection, that know your hot checks, that's when you need to know it.
Right.
You know,
the NFL just pulled off the wildest disappearing act since Houdini. Except this time, it wasn't rabbits vanishing. It was fans bailing on stadiums faster than free shots at a college party. 1 minute, you had packed arenas buzzing with energy, and the next, empty rows, dead silence, and nothing but regret echoing through the stands. The second Shedeur Sanders hit the bench, the whole vibe collapsed. TV ratings didn't just dip, they straight up nosedived, like someone swapped live football with late-night reruns of tax code lectures. This was supposed to be the game of the year, the night Shedeur Sanders, the rookie golden boy, lit up primetime. Instead, cameras cut to Joe Flacco jogging out like it was 2012 again, and the crowd looked around like they'd walked into a nursing home talent show by mistake. Inside that stadium, it went from hype to heartbreak in seconds. Tailgaters who'd been buzzing all week for Shedeur's big moment were suddenly glued to their phones, scrolling in disbelief like TikTok just got banned. Season ticket holders, who'd basically sold a kidney to afford those overpriced seats, were demanding answers from anyone in a polo shirt with a Browns logo. All that hope, all that energy, all that belief that Cleveland had finally found its franchise quarterback, gone, evaporated faster than steam on a frozen sidewalk. And let's not sugarcoat it. This wasn't just some routine lineup change. This was betrayal, plain and simple. The Browns basically looked their fans in the eye and said, "Hey, remember that promise we hyped for 3 weeks straight?"
They took him out. To me, that was so stupid. Well, I don't care that Snoop Huntley can come in and go 1 of 1 for 7 yards in a 2-minute drill. He's not going to be on a team tomorrow. Why would you not let Shedeur have the 2-minute drill and see if he can do it? Can he shake off? We just talked about how he had poor body language. He looked defeated. Can he shake it off in the moment? Hey, I've had a bad half, but we still, as bad as I've played, we have a chance to go out and win this football game. Can I go out and orchestrate a 2-minute drive to get us into field goal range to win this football game? And instead, you put in the guy who's...
Yeah, never mind. Here's Joe Flacco. Have fun. And that's the craziest part. The NFL had hyped this game like it was the Super Bowl of quarterback debuts. The marketing machine went into overdrive. Shedeur versus Burrow, the clash of future legends. ESPN rolled out custom graphics, Amazon set up special camera angles, and NFL Network turned the whole week into a Shedeur Sanders seminar, teaching the world how he was going to shred Cincinnati's defense. Instead, the so-called Game of the Year turned into a straight-up nightmare. The NFL didn't just promote this matchup. They force-fed it to us like it was Brady versus Manning reborn. Commercials, promos, hype reels, you name it. And then, when the lights came on, the Browns benched the only guy the entire world actually tuned in to see. That's not a switch-up. That's sabotage. It's like advertising Beyoncé headlining Coachella and instead sending out a middle school choir to sing Single Ladies. The second folks realized Joe Flacco was under center. Ratings didn't just slide, they collapsed. By halftime, the audience fell to 11 million, most of them probably hanging on hoping the Browns were trolling. By the fourth quarter, that number tanked again to just 9 million. And let's be real, most of those left weren't even fans. They were gamblers glued to their bets, too stubborn to walk away. That's a 40% crash in viewership. In TV land, that's a full-blown disaster. Behind the scenes, network execs were losing their minds, hopping on emergency calls mid-game like NASA scientists trying to keep a rocket from blowing up in orbit. Advertisers were fuming, demanding refunds on the spot.
Flacco got off his couch and won Comeback Player of the Year in 2023 for the same coach. He knows what Joe Flacco can do. Joe Flacco has been doing this a long time. You can argue his run to a Super Bowl is the greatest run we've seen by a quarterback because of who he had to go through.
I don't know about
The
that.
preseason, no, I'm saying you can argue it. The preseason, Keeb can attest to this. We've been in training camp killing our bodies. You get in a preseason game, even though you want to play, you're not turning it off.
Word is, one exec even joked about deep-faking Shedeur into the broadcast just to save face. And the fallout didn't stop with TV. Every single money stream the NFL milks, streaming subs, fantasy leagues, sports betting apps, all of it nosedived because the one star fans wanted to see was stuck on the sidelines, looking like someone just jacked his car. The stadium wasn't any better. By the third quarter, whole sections were nothing but empty seats. Concession lines weren't packed with hungry fans. They were crowded with people venting at poor workers just for wearing Browns gear. And the merch stands? That turned into chaos too. Shedeur jerseys, which had been flying off shelves for weeks, suddenly started coming back in piles. One vendor called it Black Friday in reverse. Instead of buying, people were returning. That's how deep the betrayal cut. Fans weren't just disappointed, they were done. This wasn't just fans being dramatic. Shedeur himself got blindsided. According to insiders, he only found out he wasn't starting about an hour before kickoff. Think about that. After all the warm-ups, all the mental prep, all the hype for the biggest night of his young career, the rug got yanked right out from under him.
Cleveland Browns listed Shedeur Sanders as inactive today. Inactive? Yo, look, man. At this point, hey, I'm a fan of Shedeur, I'm a fan of Dion, but we just need to stop caring. Because the more people actually trying to tune in to watch Shedeur, the more they ain't gonna play him, and the more they using him for clout and clickbait. They don't want the guy. The owner don't want him, the coach don't want him, the general manager don't want him. They don't want him on the team. Obviously, the NFL do not want Shiloh or Shedeur in the league, but Shedeur is good for money and ratings, or he will.
Imagine suiting up for your wedding, vows in hand, tux pressed clean. And then someone tells you, nah, sit in the back row while your ex marries somebody else. That's the level of humiliation he felt. Teammates saw it too. Shedeur was reportedly furious, tossing his helmet, storming toward the locker room, ready to let loose, until veterans jumped in to cool him down before things got ugly. And the lasting image of that night? Not a touchdown, not a highlight reel throw, but Shedeur on the sideline, helmet off, arms crossed, looking like a man robbed of his moment in front of the world. So why Flacco? Stefanski's so-called confidence act fooled absolutely no one. That decision didn't just wreck a game, it cracked the locker room wide open. Offensive guys who had built real chemistry with Shedeur were suddenly forced to adjust to Flacco's noodle arm. Receivers had to slow their routes because the ball wasn't getting there on time. The O-line, already shaky, now had to protect a statue with zero escape plan. And the defense? They were gassed, grinding all night just to watch their sweat wasted by an offense moving slower than old-school dial-up internet. But the biggest explosion didn't even come from the field. It came from the top. Owner Jimmy Haslam, the man who handpicked Shedeur, dumped millions into his image and built full-blown marketing campaigns around him, was reportedly furious watching ratings collapse in real time on national TV. This wasn't just a bad call. This was financial sabotage. And if there's one thing NFL owners hate more than losing games, it's losing cold, hard cash. Fans thought the disaster ended inside the stadium. Wrong. Stefanski's move sent shockwaves across the league. It was the football equivalent of microwaving a frozen pizza for 2 minutes and then acting surprised when the middle's still frozen solid. The next morning, every sports show turned into a full-on comedy roast. Former quarterbacks weren't just critical, they straight up called it malpractice. Even the loudmouth analysts who usually spend 3 hours yelling about nonsense actually agreed for once. Benching Shedeur wasn't strategy, it was sabotage. The memes alone could have powered Cleveland's offense better than Flacco's arm. Stephen A's reaction face looped on Twitter like a gif straight from the gods. Pat McAfee didn't even need a rant. He dropped one sarcastic one-liner that went viral instantly. And Colin Cowherd burned a whole monologue labeling it the most self-destructive coaching call in modern NFL history. When the national media, who live for chaos, all stand on the same side. That means you've set off a nuke inside your own franchise. But it didn't just end with hot takes. The gambling world went nuclear too. Sportsbooks had set their lines assuming Shedeur was starting. And once the news broke, thousands of bettors were jamming phone lines demanding answers. Fantasy players lost their minds. Rosters shattered, prop bets torched, parlays imploded. People were staring at their 0-point quarterbacks like they'd just been robbed in broad daylight. And more than a few even joked about suing the Browns for emotional damages. Think about that. One coach's call didn't just wreck a football game. It sent shockwaves through a billion-dollar industry. And here's the irony that makes it even juicier. The NFL itself was neck-deep in this mess. The league had been hyping Shedeur as the face of the future. They built entire campaigns around him, flashy promos, exclusive highlight reels, special camera angles, pre-game packages, all selling one story. And when the big night finally came, the star attraction never even stepped onto the field. It was like dropping millions into a blockbuster movie, plastering the lead actor all over trailers and posters, only for the actual film to replace him with the stunt double. The cracks weren't just in the locker room, they started spilling all over social media. Younger players were out here liking posts calling for Shedeur to start, and some even reposted memes roasting Stefanski's decision. Even the ones who tried to play it cool couldn't hide their frustration. Everyone saw it. The locker room wasn't divided, it was collapsing. And ownership? Furious doesn't even cover it. Jimmy Haslam, the guy who personally pushed for drafting Shedeur, had to sit there and watch his carefully built empire crumble in real time. The NFL had projected a business boom, packed stadiums, soaring merch sales, TV ratings through the roof, all thanks to Shedeur's arrival. That was the master plan. But Stefanski torched it in one night. Marketing dollars? Wasted? Sponsorships? Jeopardized. Season ticket renewals. Dropping like flies. One insider even said Haslam was pacing like a man watching his stock portfolio crash. And honestly, that's exactly what was happening. It's one thing to lose a game. It's another to sabotage your own golden goose. Owners don't fire coaches for L's on the field. They fire them when money starts bleeding. And with every empty seat, every canceled Prime subscription, Stefanski's chair was heating up faster than a skillet left in the oven. Nothing makes billionaires angrier than realizing one of their own is shrinking the pie for everyone else. Meanwhile, Shedeur stayed silent. No interviews, no statements, no posts. And in today's NFL, silence is louder than any rant. His camp leaked just enough to paint him as blindsided, embarrassed, and maybe even eyeing the exit if things didn't change. Then his father, Shedeur Sanders, poured gasoline on the fire with cryptic posts about knowing your worth and never staying where you're not wanted. Subtle? Not at all. Effective? Absolutely. Suddenly, this wasn't just a benching. It was an earthquake. Other teams around the league started circling like sharks, wondering if Cleveland's dysfunction could become their golden opportunity. Agents whispered about adding clauses to protect young quarterbacks from insecure coaches. Even the NFLPA poked around, asking if this stunt violated the spirit of competitive integrity. By midweek, the numbers told the story. Merch sales tanked, renewal calls spiked with cancellations, and corporate sponsors were sweating over whether to keep their logos tied to a franchise that couldn't even protect its future star. Cleveland wasn't just losing games anymore. They were hemorrhaging cash. Because Shedeur wasn't just a quarterback. He was the marketing engine, the ratings magnet, the engagement generator. Benching him was like shutting down the power plant and then being shocked when the whole city went dark. Stefanski thought he was flexing authority, proving he could make the tough calls. But instead, he exposed how fragile his power really is. Coaches who ignore the entertainment side of the business, they're dinosaurs. And the meteor just smashed right into Cleveland. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.